Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Prep Life Podcast. This is your founder and CEO of Glam Girl Bikini, Amy Anger. And today I have a very special guest, scholarship athlete, wellness babe, Erica Lopez. Welcome to
That
the show,
sounds
Erica.
so nice. Hi, I'm happy to be here. Wellness babe. It's crazy because it's like bikini to wellness. And I just love having like wellness by my name now.
Yay. That's so cool. Yeah.
Nothing
So
against nothing against bikini, but
you're in the
wellness is a whole
wellness world.
different ballpark. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wanted to share with everybody the process that I don't know if listeners had listened way back when I had proposed that I wanted to accept a scholarship athlete. And
Mhm.
I got a lot of applications, really big response last September. And as I was reading through them, yours was the one that just really stood out to me as like just, I mean, it was like a clear picture as to why I would pick you in your
Oh.
response. And I tried to dig it up because I wanted to read it to everybody on air, but I just wanted you to kind of like share in your own words after we, kind of have gone through this 6 month journey. So you
Okay.
kind of came to me, you were just getting ready for a show in
Yeah.
bikini. And I was torn between two different applicants. So Shara, who we've listened to her podcast like probably a month ago, she did her first show in bikini. And so I
Killed
decided,
it too.
yeah, after looking at your photos, because that was part of the application process, I was
Uh-huh.
like, this girl needs to do wellness. She has the genetic structure for the imbalance, like beautiful glute hem tie-in and like large legs. And you did very well in bikini. Previously, you had
Mhm.
competed before, and we'll get into your history and all that. But and you were
Mhm.
just getting ready for a bikini show, and I just said,
Mhm.
okay, well, we went through the application process. I told you were accepted, and I said, let's just add true novice wellness and see how you do. And so we can tell that story as well. But so in November, we started together like right after you were done with your very
With
first
bikini.
open bikini,
Mhm.
novice bikini, and then true novice wellness show in
Mhm.
November. So these past 6 months, we've spent shaping your body to fit more of the division and wellness. And she just stepped off stage this past Saturday.
Mhm.
So, okay, so a lot to unpack there. Let's start from the beginning. What motivated you to apply for this scholarship athlete spot?
So when I started prep, I listened to your podcast a lot, the Glam Girl Bikini podcast, just to help me with tips and tricks and just to motivate me to compete. And then there was one podcast where you said you're going to do the scholarship program. And I just saw it as, okay, like, let me just sign up and see like if I have what it takes to be trained by another coach or like if I can just let's see what I got. So I applied for your scholarship and I think along the lines you said like why would we choose you for the scholarship program? And if I can remember, I know I put the lifestyle of a competitor is what I like to live and I would be fit for it because training like with my coach previously like training me like I have the mindset, I have the discipline, I have the consistency, I have the drive, and it's just what bodybuilding did for me was shape me into a whole different person than what I was before. Before it was more of like a girl who didn't have confidence, who doubted herself every day, who just had the mindset of, okay, well, I just want to party, drink, I don't want to do anything else. And then as soon as I got into bodybuilding, it just shifted me a whole different way I looked at life. Um, you were looking for bikini competitors. So in my head, I just thought like, okay, she has so many applicants. Like, I don't even think I'm gonna get it. And then I'm competing right now, so I don't think she wants to take me on because I'm competing. So it'll be harder. And like, I don't even know the length of the scholarship was. But then again, in my mind, I was like, you know what? Just this is your self-doubt coming in again. Like, stop, just apply. You have what it takes. You have it in you. Like, this is the lifestyle you live. This is the lifestyle you love. And if you choose, that's just gonna boost you up even more. So I kid you not, when I submitted the application, I was like, oh my God, now we wait. And it's like in my head, I'm like, oh, it's gonna like hurt me if it says like, oh, we're sorry, but but then as soon as I got your email and you said congratulations, I was like, oh my God, I got it. But then I got my like I was like out of like how do you say it? It was just crazy because you said wellness and I'm like, what is wellness? Like, what is this? And then you showed me the pictures of like wellness and I'm like, oh my God, like you're choosing a bikini competitor, but yet you see this whole different side of me that I can grow in, which made me even like more happy because I didn't even see that in myself.
Well, that's yeah. And can you tell the audience
Hmm.
just kind of so where you came from? Because I
Hmm.
think that's what's like super powerful. I heard in your application, so what resonated with me is first of all, like this is the Prep Life, podcast. So you were emulating a prep life. And I believe you were previously 80 pounds, like you had lost 80 pounds.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
tell that story. How long did that take to lose the 80 pounds?
Oh man, okay. So my life diet thing was like a yo-yo. So I like right as soon as I got out of high school, of course, everyone, not everyone, but you gain the college 15. In my
Uh,
case, it was probably like 30. And then I started going to the gym with my friends. And then I started like getting into nutrition. So I changed my eating habits. And then that's when I dropped like a lot of weight. So I think I went from like 214 to like 150, I want to say. And
wow.
that was like my first because I was watching what I was eating. I was going to the gym. And then we all turned 21. So we just started drinking, eating, um, partying. Like it was just a bad mixture. So I just gained it all back because I didn't care. But I was still consistently like going to the gym, but just it was like a yo-yo diet. It was nothing was on track. And COVID hit, and that's when I I remember like it was my best friend's birthday party and we took a picture and I just looked at myself and I said, "Oh my God, I have gained so much." Like I was in shock. And when it came to competing, I remember when I first got into fitness, I always had the idea of stepping on stage. I just never wanted to commit to the prep life, the sacrifice, the discipline, the schedule you're on every day to step on stage to cut because we wanted to party. So COVID hit and I just said, you know what? Like I need to do this for myself. Like I want to I need to start doing what I want to do for myself and not just get into this whole just keep everything the same, I need change. So that's when I hired a coach, my previous coach, and we went through basically like a maintenance phase first to get my metabolism on the right track. So that was 2021 of May. And then we did a whole maintenance for like up until like March of 2022. That's when everything was going good. I was dropping weight. My body composition was changing. When I started with the first coach, I was 184.
Okay.
And then
And
by like,
tell
huh?
everybody like what your stage weight is and what your height is.
I'm 5'7" as of Saturday. I'm 5'7" as of Saturday. I always thought it was 5'8", but I'm 5'7". Um, and my stage weight for my first bikini competition.
Yeah, you can name your stage weights. So
Okay.
yeah, like
For
so
my
this past one, obviously in wellness, you're gonna weigh a little bit more than a bikini
uh-huh.
competitor. However, you actually weigh the same. as your November
Yeah.
show. So your first
So
competition was August of 2022.
yes, August
Okay.
2022. And I think my stage weight was 128,
Okay. So it's always been
like around there.
128.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Which is
but
good for 5'7".
yeah, but I was so tiny. Like compared to my wellness and compared to bikini, like when you put them together, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy.
Yeah. You had way
Because it's
more
like,
muscle and
yeah,
way tighter in
exactly.
terms of like less body fat, but way more muscle.
Mhm.
Yeah. The
So
128, we'll have to show a comparison of like what that body looks like at
yeah,
128 in three
it's
different
crazy.
phases.
March 2022, that's when we stopped like my like the maintenance phase, and then that's when we started like the actual cut because I wanted to step on stage in June.
Okay.
And then so we did like the 4 month cut, but June came and I got very scared. I felt like I just wasn't lean enough. I wasn't ready, like my posing wasn't right. So we pushed it back um to August because I just told her like I just need like another month and a half to like diet down to see if we can get more lean and then just like practice my posing more. So I stepped on stage my first time August 4th.
Hmm.
So from March to August, that's when like we really cut down. So it's like 5 months.
So your max weight, when
5,
you look back, you said it was 215.
215. Mhm.
Okay. So
Yeah.
215 to
215
128.
March, 215, yeah, to
Mm,
128. So
yeah.
that's a lot.
Crazy. It's a lot of weight. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So let's talk about your so when we did the first or when you did the first competition, you did true novice bikini and you did pretty
Hmm.
well, right? You
Hmm.
placed, what did you place there?
Fourth.
Okay. And then
Hmm.
in November, you decided after you knew that you were getting the scholarship, you said that you would try to add on wellness to just kind of see what it was
Yeah.
like. Um, at that point we weren't working together. But you came to me for posing for wellness and that was
Hmm.
it. That was kind of like, so we started after your show where in open bikini and novice bikini, what did you place in that show in November?
Second.
Okay. And then
Hmm.
you got third in open. So you did not get nationally qualified in bikini,
No.
correct? Yeah.
Mm-mm.
And then true novice wellness, you got second.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So from there, we were basically reverse dieting you when we
Hmm.
started together. So it was like really just like right after post show, doing a deload and reversing. So can you tell us about your experience on that? How that was? It's probably, since you kind of did two shows semi back to back, you probably didn't have like a true reverse the first time. So what was that like during the holidays? Reversing out of a show and trying to get through all of the festivities of like Thanksgiving and
Um,
everything
let's
that
see
kind
if
of
I
like
can
hit you
remember.
right after your show.
Oh, I know. We reverse dieted like November, December, and then January, right? And then
Hmm.
February we started the cut.
Yep.
Reversing through the holidays, it wasn't that hard. Um, I know like during like Thanksgiving, I did go a little off the rails. But and then I think for Christmas, I didn't really go off the rails because I knew how I felt on Thanksgiving and I was like, I just don't want to feel like that again.
Hmm.
Um, it was hard, but it wasn't easy, but it wasn't hard because I knew I had a goal. I wanted a good reverse diet. Um, and then just the feeling of like overeating and binging and doing all that stuff, like I just don't like how I feel after. Like I know the pros and the cons. Like, yes, at the
Hmm.
moment it's gonna feel good, like you're gonna eat all this, but then con after, it's like you're gonna feel overextended, you're gonna feel bloated, you're gonna want to throw up. Like it's just it wasn't like I had to really like shift my mindset to okay, like what do you want, you know?
Hmm.
Um, but it felt nice like eating with my family and then just like feeling that like normal for that day. But as soon as like that day was done, it's like, okay, let's get right back on track. Like, and a big thing that always like brought me back to getting on track was you. Like you as a coach, you chose me for the scholarship. You saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. So it's like, why are you going to let yourself down and why are you going to let your coach down, you know? So,
Love that. Yeah. So we tried, we are building up your calories slowly in the reverse diet.
mhm.
So I think the highest we got was like 1700-ish.
1700.
Yeah. So we did that kind of gradually each month, adding back in like
Slowly.
200 calories like each month and really trying to focus on growth. So what would you say is the biggest difference as a wellness competitor versus a bikini competitor when it comes to the training methods that you had to adopt?
Ooh. Uh, I love wellness training. Um, so I am very quad dominant. When I was training for bikini, it was a lot of glute and hamstring work. And when you switch me to wellness, you would just add like a lot of hack squats, leg extensions, leg press, lunges, and I was living for it just because I am quad dominant. And then every time I feel like during bikini when I would work out, it was just like, yes, I would focus like on my glutes and my hamstrings, but like my quads would just activate and I was like, I can't escape my quads. So switching to wellness, it was great because I would just love every workout. Um, the difference is it is a lot of like, because you had me like on 3 days of leg day,
hmm
and each day, like you obviously like we would focus on the quads, and then you would have the glutes and hamstrings. Whereas bikini, it's like you'd only have like two quad exercises, and then the rest is just glutes and hamstrings.
Yes.
So it was tough switching because every day after leg day I'd just be like destroyed. I just want to like lay down. But it was just better because I just felt like I was getting I was being challenged more on like my lower body and it was something different. And every time I would see like new like my quads grow or like when I would measure them, I'd get so excited.
And you can, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see her jacked like upper body right now.
Yeah.
It was her birthday this past week. And so yeah, she had her show on Saturday. So definitely got,
Mm.
some good foods back in. But tell us
Uh-huh.
about how your upper body is different with wellness versus bikini.
Um, bikini, it's more so with bikini, I'm trying to think of my body with bikini, but I feel like they stayed the same. However, we had to kind of like tone it down because you wanted a bigger lower body than like than an upper body. But
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I feel like they got bigger, if anything. They look good. And then when I was doing bikini, they just felt like they just looked toned. They were small, but they just looked toned. That's it. And I feel
Yeah.
like that's what the judges wanted. Whereas wellness, like they still look big, but they're not overpowering my lower body because my lower body grew so much.
Yeah. So before you were
Hmm.
symmetrical, where your upper body had to match your lower body,
Matched my
which
lower
was
body.
basically a hard thing to do with your genetic structure because you do have really, even though you're quad dominant, like you have a really good glute ham tie-in. It's
Hmm.
very pronounced, even when you were, like deep into your reverse before we started cutting, you can still see your ham tie-ins, even in an improvement season type of situation. So it's that imbalance, right? So the way that I trained your upper body, just for the listeners, so that they know from my perspective. So, like with bikini, we're going to focus on shoulders and back. Whereas with you, I would hit like more tricep work, more bicep work, chest, shoulders, lats. We still want the conditioning and we want the muscle symmetry and tone, but we want it to be asymmetrical to your lower half. So it
Yeah,
should look dwarfed compared to your lower body.
compared to my lower body.
So it was still the right tone and the right balance and shape, but just like way smaller than your lower half is
Hmm.
essentially. Whereas in bikini, you basically want to like be able to fold yourself in half. So like your rear delts and your back and your round shoulders, should create that hourglass where your shoulders should be matching your glutes. And in this case, we want it to be narrow like a bell where you're like
Mhm.
lower
Where
dominant.
everything, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
So a
I
lot
feel
of,
like with
oh, yeah.
bikini, my upper body was already there.
Uh-huh.
So what you had me doing was like a lot of hit, where
Like
it was just
conditioning.
more like,
Yep.
yeah, more movement, because everything was here. It just needed to be like more defined. But I feel like even with the hit, it was still growing. And
Yeah.
at first I was thinking like, okay, maybe like with all this hit, it's not gonna grow. And I was getting scared, but then I kept doing it and I was like, no, like my body, they're getting big. They're
Yeah.
getting big.
Yeah.
So like I said, I stuck to the plan. I was like, I trust my coach, let's do it. And then that was a whole different thing, because with bikini, it was just like a structure of like, okay, like 4 sets rear delts, 4 sets shoulder press, like tricep, bicep. And it was just, you're just working through it. Whereas when I would have my upper body days with you, I was just like going, like running around because
Yeah.
I was doing upper body. But I would still get a pump, and like day by day I would watch my shoulders grow and my back was like more defined, and it was just insane.
Yeah, your conditioning was there. So yeah, for those of you
Mhm.
that don't know, like in when I'm training a wellness competitor versus a bikini, so like with bikini, they're going for a hypertrophy goal where they're, taking the time under tension and then the rest periods for like 30
Mhm.
seconds to a minute. Whereas in um an upper body conditioning state for a wellness competitor, I'm doing like ski erg, rower, battle
Mhm.
ropes,
That
things
rower,
upper body
that
row,
rower was my favorite.
or just like higher repetition, more
Mhm.
supersetting, lighter weights, but we're
Yeah.
still like doing it hit style. So you're getting like a mixture of like a conditioning move with um like a high rep type of like
What I
pull
and
down
I
or
what I
whatever it
did
was.
like what I did like too, it was like it was something different because I've never done that style of training.
Uh-huh.
And I feel that my body had like plateaued, if that makes sense, from like how I was training before. So when you added the conditioning, that's when I was really starting to see like um differences in like my upper body muscles. Like you can see more what's it called? Striations? Is that the word?
Yeah,
I
just
don't
like
know.
your
Like
cuts.
definition. Yeah.
Yeah, definition. Yeah.
And
Your
I feel
your
like that's
lines,
what,
I guess you would
yeah,
say.
that's
Yeah.
what my body needed. And then when you switched, like, because I was doing a bunch of steady state cardio, and when you added the hit cardio, I just would see a difference. And I
Yeah.
just thought to myself, I think my body plateaued from like my previous style of training. So when you added that, every day I was just like, okay, let's do it, let's do it, let's do it.
Yeah. And so again, I'll just educate the listeners. So with steady state, that would be a great move for your body type for somebody that's trying to get for bikini. So like if I had
Mhm.
somebody with your genetics that did not want to do wellness, I would have to give them steady state to decrease the size of their legs to fit the category. So that would be breaking down your muscle. It would not be building up your type 1 fibers like HIT does. HIT, it builds muscle. It gives you
Mhm.
those like fast twitch muscles that are larger in volume and size. So for your lower body, we want HIT. We don't want steady state until you got to a point where we were dieting enough that you were conditioned down. You had too low of body fat for HIT to be
For
properly
hit.
fueled. So like the last month or so, I switched you
Yeah.
to steady state just because your calories were lower as you were leading into the show. So I just always want to protect people from injury. The padding on your joints isn't as prevalent when you have really low body fat, and you were at that point like 4 weeks out. We just needed to switch it back over. But for the majority of the time, we did hit while you were building and then also while you were cutting until the very end. So that's kind of like the
Mhm.
differences there. Um, were there any other things that you felt like? Um, so let's talk about actually show day and like peak week. So last week, first of all, can you tell the
Quickly.
audience like what you actually placed in open wellness and novice wellness, which you've never done before?
So I in novice I placed first. And open I placed second. Second. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So I got
So
first and
she's
second.
nationally
Mhm.
qualified in open.
Yeah.
She never was in bikini. She got
No,
third. So if you get
I
first or second
did.
in open, she was in open D, and there were four people, and she got moved to the middle, splitting center.
Yeah.
And then you had your first overall pose down experience where you were the winner
Yeah.
of your class C.
I didn't even know that was gonna happen. And then they like I
Well, I
got
told you it was
yeah,
probably
I
going to
know.
happen. I'm like,
I got
practice your
first.
walk to the back curtain.
They placed the medal and then they're just like, and I was walking off, they're like, no, 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 stay. And I'm like, wait, what? They're like, yeah, stay. And I was like, why? And they're just like, it's the overall. And I was like, oh. So then they put me to the side, and then that's when like we all went out, and then Sandy was like, "Okay, walk to the curtain," and I'm like, "Oh my God, I have to walk to the curtain." So I was like, "Okay, high, slow, boots
Yes. And we
high,
practiced
slow
this
walk."
every
Yeah,
week for months,
yeah,
at least 10 weeks
so
ahead of time.
yeah.
Just because I always make sure that all of my clients know. And I asked you like to ask the expediter because I had a
Mhm,
feeling you might have gotten first in both. You were splitting center for people and open. You might have been in the overall pose down for that, but I had a feeling that you won your class in novice. And I said, make sure you ask the expediter if they're going to have an overall for novice because
mhm,
I'm like, you're probably going to have to walk to the back curtain. So hopefully your muscle memory, even though you were kind of like in shock and
mhm,
like it was a lot of excitement and everything, but hopefully that muscle memory of like all those
yeah,
weeks of practicing walking to the back
mhm,
curtain and preparing you, hopefully that helped. But
yeah. I think my family has a video, so I'm gonna ask them for it. But I feel like one of my walk back to the curtain was great to
yeah,
practice.
well, when
Hmm.
we practiced, it always was.
Hmm.
So you're a
Yeah.
very good poser.
Thank
So
you.
this time around, so some things that I wanted to talk about. So because you had such massive weight loss, I think this is something. So can you share your age with the audience, first of all?
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
28 as of May 17th.
Yes. And you are in school currently, correct?
I'm studying to be a respiratory therapist.
Yeah. So she was in finals.
Oh
She
God.
was having her finals during peak week.
Oh
And
my.
I know that was a lot. When do you graduate with your respiratory therapist degree?
Next May. Next May.
Okay.
Mhm.
So with that being said, we did a bit of a different peak week than you were used to from
Mhm.
previous. And I don't want to ever like throw any other coaches under the bus. And
Mm-mm.
your coach did a lot for you. I mean, she helped you lose 80 pounds.
Yeah.
Um,
I
so
still
we're
I'll
not
always
gonna,
appreciate her. No.
yeah, we're not gonna go like that's,
No.
this is a totally different thing. So with that being said, this peak week, I know it felt different. Can you I can explain the science behind like the front load that we did, but for
Mhm.
you, like how did you feel like your physique came through with this type of peaking?
It was amazing. Um, it was a little scary because so you up my carbs Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So in my head, I was thinking, oh my God, I'm gonna eat all these carbs. Like my body's gonna blow. It's just gonna like I'm just not gonna look as lean as I should. But as soon as I was eating every day, I'd wake up and I would see like my body composition and then I would see the definition of my muscles and I was still lean and it was insane. I'm like, oh my God, my body is like just soaking up all these carbs in the right way. And the day of show day, I woke up and I just like looked at my overall like package and I just said, this is it. Like I'm ready. Like I loved it. Like those 3 days of depletion you put me through, I'm like, so worth it. I would do it again.
Yeah. So with the front load, basically the science behind it is that you do 3 days of depletion. So Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, she depleted carbs. We did like 63% of her baseline carbs. And what that does is if you think about a sponge and you think about a dried out sponge, That's basically what you're doing by like pulling the carbs lower, just like only having them pre and post workout. You're kind of depleting that, and that sponge is getting really rock hard and dry. And then on Wednesday, you do like a 1.75 times her baseline carbs, where it's a huge high factor, it's a front load. And basically, it's like pouring a bunch of water on that sponge, and the sponge just opens up. And that's like what your muscles do with all that glycogen. So if we were to compete and do that the day before, so like a rapid backload where we did that on Friday, the next morning she woke up, waistline was up a little bit because it's just a lot of carbs to consume. Your digestive tract just can't handle that much, and wake up the next day and look fantastic. Now, I will say, like, your muscle bellies were pressing against the skin, so you looked more conditioned. Your tie-ins were like even more sharp, but we need 48 hours basically to kind of like absorb and digest. So some foods take up to like 16 hours to digest. And so we wouldn't want to do that the night before. So we do that on Wednesday. And then on Thursday and Friday, I ended up, it's based on check in, and we check in every day. But basically, you were looking good. You kept dropping inches. Your waist, we hit all of your goals. Like for your glutes, I wanted them to stay in wellness at 36 inches because we needed them big and full. And then we wanted your waist to get down to 24, which it did. And weight was down to 128. And so I just gave you max amount of carbs, which is like a 1.25 times factor of your baseline. So Thursday and Friday, we kind of like titrated down a little bit from the Wednesday load, but kept it pretty high. And you came in tight but full. So, and we didn't cut water. We didn't put you on a diuretic. Like, you came in lean and healthy. And I ultimately think that's why you did so well. But yeah. So what are your thoughts?
Oh, I want to go back on stage. Um, my thoughts overall, it was a good prep. It was definitely hard only because I did have a lot going on with school and work and then like family. But at the end of the day, I love the package we brought compared to my previous shows. Not that I didn't like how my body looked then, but this was just, I felt more confident. I walked in there and I usually like my past previous shows, like I'll keep my robe on and I'll just like hide my body because I just was like shy or just I was like, okay, I'm not lean enough, like I don't have enough muscle. But this time I was walking around the hotel lobby and with my robe off, I was like, look at what I built. So during prep, yeah, there was times where I just like wanted to give up because majority of it was just handling school and then handling cardio training, prepping my meals, like just
And you also
everything.
work.
Yeah. And I did go to work. So just all of that was just so heavy on me. But then um every day I just woke up and I'm just like, no, like you love this. Like you wouldn't trade anything else for it. And then I'm in my room right now, so I would always hang little like cards.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, that'll just like motivate me in the morning to keep going. I'd write in my journal a lot at night to just reflect on the day and just like I'd always just remember my why and why I started. And then again, a big part of it was you, like why you chose me to be in this division, to win the scholarship, to go into wellness because you saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. Um, but and as far as posing too, like when I stepped on stage, it was just I just saw a whole completely different from like the first time I stepped on stage. I felt more confident, and when it came to my posing, like hitting my posing, it was just like I flowed through it instead of just like rushing through it.
And what
And
do you think was the difference there with opposing? What made that difference?
I just practiced more compared to like my previous shows. Like every day I'd be in my heels every day, after every workout. okay, let's just, even if it was just like 5 minutes, just hit your pose or
Yeah.
hit your back pose or just walk up and down. At night too. Like I come home from work and I'm just like, oh, I'm so tired. But then it's just like, okay, you're already gonna change into your pajamas. Just put on your suit before, put on your heels and just hit a pose or walk up and down your room. Like just little things like that, I feel like did help me with my posing a lot.
Awesome. Yeah. I wanted, if you don't mind, can we talk about the skin with the weight loss and all that? Like how we I think that was like a huge thing where we used the
Oh, the
bikini bite
oh
and the
yeah.
posing with the pinching.
Yeah. So bikini bite, I had put on my suit right before I stepped on stage because since I did have a big weight loss, I still have loose skin around my abdominal area. So when I put the bikini bite on like the bottom of my abdominal area, it really hid that like loose skin that was hanging. So when I stepped on stage, it looked like you couldn't see that little fold. It was
Yeah.
just you could see my bikini and then it just looked like my abs looked flat.
Yep. It was like
And then
a tummy
it was
tuck
like an
almost like,
illusion. Yeah,
yeah,
basically.
like you were cutting off skin basically, but you were just bikini biting the bottoms of
Uh-huh.
the front of your suit.
And when I did my quarter, like when I did my quarter turn, like yeah, the quarter
Hmm.
turn, you had me with my wrist, like just pinch my skin back as I turned. And then that made another illusion to where I didn't have that like side loose skin. It just looked like my waist just like shrunk even more.
Yeah, because you had a six
Hmm.
pack and you had the
Hmm.
condition. I mean, it was just a matter of like the aesthetic of the skin. So I
Hmm.
think that's, like for even like masters people or people that have had babies or people that have had extreme weight loss, those are important things to kind of talk about, I think, because I do think it made a big difference. Where maybe if you're comfortable with it, we can show like a before and after of how we how we manipulated that because it made an aesthetic look that was really flawless. I thought after that change made a big difference. Were there any other thoughts that you had about like what do you think your feedback will be? I know you weren't able to stay after just because there were other categories after you. But Sandy was your head judge. So what do you think she'll have to say about your feedback?
Um, Looking back at my pictures and then like my presentation on stage, I think feedback would probably be growing my glutes a little bit more because I feel like my glutes were there, but they weren't as big as like when you look at the overall pose down
Mhm.
for open, I think, or was it novice? For novice. Yeah, for novice.
Uh-huh.
The girl on the far right, her glutes are massive. And then when she turns, her quads are massive too. So I think she'll give me feedback on like more development on my quads and my glutes.
Hmm.
And then probably tweak in my posing and my transitions because I feel like my transitions were kind of off. I was kind of just like, okay, move here, move there. But as far as like my hand movements go, like I think those are fine. And then like obviously like my smiling. I always looked at Sandy. She kept me like sane. Um, but definitely more mass on my quads and my glutes.
Yeah, and I think that just comes with
Hmm.
time because you were
Yeah.
transitioning from bikini and you had
Hmm.
6 months. So it wasn't a huge
Like,
amount of time to grow. Um, and then you are a natural athlete too. So that plays a factor as well, where,
hmm.
there is use of like PEDs, especially in the category of wellness, like when it comes to that.
Yeah.
So I do think that you, for a 6 month transformation from a transition from bikini to wellness, like you made really big strides and
Big
um,
time.
yeah, yeah. So it'll just take time, but you're ready for that because you have school
Hmm.
that you want to get taken care of and all of that. And just so the audience has an idea, how many hours of school were you spending each week that you were in prep? And then also like how many hours were you working on average?
On average, I was working 30 hours a week and I would go to school Monday through Thursday. So I had a class each day, and each class was like a lecture in the lab. And
Hmm.
then Thursday, I had my clinical rotation, and that was from 6:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Sorry, Friday, I had my clinical rotation. It was from 6:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m.
Yeah. And I think
And
time management wise, that's
yeah, it
incredible.
was
It's
it
very
was so
impressive
like
that you got that
you
done.
had you had me working out 6 days a week, so my rest day had to be on that clinical rotation day
Hmm.
because I couldn't wake up early to do cardio because the gym wasn't open. And at night, I would do my clinical rotation, but then head to work right after. And I'd only have like an hour break between clinicals and work. So,
Which is
and
another reason
then,
why it definitely impressed me, like with your work ethic, like as far as like being a scholarship recipient for a need, like I felt like you being in school and working that hard with a job too, that I just felt like, that you were also, that was just like another layer of why I wanted to award you with that, so that you didn't have to pay for coaching, to add
yeah.
extra stress. So,
Uh-huh. No,
but
yeah, and I always told, I remember like every check-in, I always tell you like, dude, I'm so grateful to have you as a coach and to have won the scholarship program because not many people, it's expensive.
yeah,
Competing is
posing is
expensive.
expensive, coaching
Yeah,
is expensive.
posing, suit, everything that comes with it. So at the when I wanted to just be like, oh my God, I want a slice of cake, or oh my God, I don't want to train, or oh, I don't want to do cardio, it just like brought me back to, hey, you want something because someone believes in you, because someone knows like you can be great. And at the end of the day, it's like I always tell myself, I don't want to be average. I don't want to be normal. Like I want to be great because I know I can be great.
Yeah, I love that. So I think that's where we're
Mhm.
going to end it, unless there was something
Mhm.
that you wanted to talk about that we didn't mention. I know you had
Mm,
rented a suit from GGB Suit Rentals.
yes, my
Um,
suit. Oh my God. I don't want to return it. Oh my God, yes. The suit definitely helped renting because suits can get very pricey. So obviously suits are around like 800 to 600. But thankfully, like you, Glam Girl Bikini, you guys rent suits for your competitors, so that definitely helped my pocket. And what I like about it is you sent me 5 suits, so like you gave me a variety instead of just like one. And that royal blue with my skin tone, like, oh my God.
it
Like
looked
my friends and
gorgeous.
family were just like, you look so good. And I'm like, I feel good. I really do.
Yeah, yeah.
But I love this too. I love that you sent the pads and then the cushion.
The pillow
And
stuffing.
then yeah, so then at the NPC workshop that I went to, they actually taught us like what to do with the padding and what to do with the pillow stuffing
Hmm.
to make, because obviously like I do not have cleavage, so I have
Those
to
of
work
you
with
that are
what I
watching this on
have.
YouTube.
I know. Um, so I had to work with what I have, and doing the pillow stuffing and the padding really did help. But otherwise, like the suit, they're from Angel Competition Bikinis, right?
Some of them are, they're different
Yeah.
brands, but yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the suit was good. And that's what added more to like my confidence. Especially the back because my glutes were looking very good in that suit from the back.
Yeah, I think it makes a big difference when you feel confident in your body. Like you said, you
Hmm.
were proud of the work that you did. And I think that really translates on stage. I think that that's one thing that Sandy will probably mention is that your stage presence and like your confidence, all of that. I thought your posing looked really good. Um, so I guess the last thing I wanted to ask you is because I know you had used a wig previously and you have short hair. So you
Hmm.
had transitioned over to extensions. Which one do you prefer? Just for those listeners that maybe are on the fence of like doing a wig or doing extensions.
Extensions.
You like the extensions better? Yeah.
Yeah, at the time when I did the wig, my hair wasn't long enough to put in extensions, so it just would have looked choppy.
Uh-huh.
Um, so I had to resort to the wig, but the wig had bangs, and I feel like that just kind of threw off my stage presence. Like I personally didn't like how I looked with the wig, but I had to work with what I had. And Then for this show, I I straightened my hair one day and I'm like, you know what? I think it's long enough that I can put in extensions. And then I tested it out and it worked. So
Yeah, I thought it looked
mhm.
beautiful. Yeah, and you did DIY Protan, right?
DIY Pro 10, yes. My best friend came and put my first coat, second coat, and then my actual tan in the Saturday morning.
That was really nice.
I personally like doing DIY only because when you buy the tan at the show, like you're running on their time, and I like to run on my time. I don't like to stress about like, okay, I have to wake up at 5 to get my tan, and then I have to go at this time to get my tan. And then same with makeup. My cousin came and did my makeup, so um, it's just like everything on show day is like I don't want to stress about worrying about this, worrying about that. Like if I can deload one more stress, it's fine.
Yeah, and I feel like since you are in Orange County and the venue that Muscle Contest has for
Oh yeah.
all three of your shows, right, have been
Hmm.
within 10 minutes from your house, which is very convenient. And then the fact
Yeah.
that you can just do your hair and makeup outsourced in your own house and take your
Hmm.
time and wake up on your time and not have to like
It
rush
was
to the
great.
venue to get something done
No.
or like you said, wake up earlier
Hmm.
than what you would have wanted to. You were able to get a good night's sleep in your own bed. And
Yeah.
so it's definitely a way, those of you listeners that are looking for a way to like, especially if it's your first show, or if you're looking to save costs, find something in your local area that the NPC has gotten so big that their calendar is, you're
Calendar
bound to
is
find something
huge.
that is in your area. And so if you can, find people that can do your hair and makeup, the cost to the show sponsored hair and makeup is like they have to like pay for travel for their stylists and then their
Hmm.
artists. And then they also have to pay for like the hotel room. And sometimes they have to pay like a sponsorship fee. So when you can save on that and just get it, I mean, like you had your cousin do your makeup and it looked gorgeous. Just make sure that they have experience with show makeup because it is a
Yeah.
big difference.
Hmm.
Which you were able to get those dramatic like eyes and like very dramatic lashes and things. So it looked like she knew what she was doing.
Yeah, she always does. I trust no one else with my face.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Well, I think with that, where can people find you if they have more questions for you, or if they just want to tag you on their story and tell them how much they appreciated hearing you today? Where are some places we can find you?
I am on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Um, I honestly don't know my handles by memory, but I
Are
think
they
on
all the same?
Instagram,
Because I know you're E Lopez on um, Instagram. Is it the
yeah.
same throughout your?
On TikTok, it's the same, but it's like not three Z's, it's one Z and then underscore.
Yeah, she's
PE.
ELOPEZZZ underscore on Instagram, but I'll put that in the show notes.
Yeah.
So
And
if you
then
give me your
TikTok,
or your
it's
other handles,
just minus one Z,
just two Z's instead of three.
just two Z's instead of three.
Awesome. All right. Are there any
Yeah.
closing words or like pieces of advice that you want to leave our listeners with before we hop off?
Yes. So, words of advice, if you are looking to compete in your first show, just be honest with yourself. It does take a lot of it takes a lot out of you. So, if you're mentally good, if you're like mentally like good with yourself, good with your body, um, if you're financially ready, if you have um, just a support, go ahead and compete. Glam Girl Bikini has amazing coaches, so they know what to do. They'll get you on track, and it is a fun sport. And even if it's not like a sport you want to do, if it's just a good time, it's like even if you just want to do it just one time, like to cross off your bucket list, I recommend it because the motive, the outcome you get out of it, the person it changes you is just it's it's unreal.
Yeah, you'll never be the
But
same again, but
no,
in a
you'll
good
never be
way.
the same again.
You
Yeah.
learn
And it
things
could,
about what you're capable of, what you didn't think you could ever
mhm,
achieve, for sure.
exactly.
I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, if you
Mhm.
want to find us on Instagram, you can find us at Prep Life Podcast or at Glam Girl Bikini. If you would like to apply for the team for your unicorn prep, you can go to glamgirlbikini.com and hit the Get Started button. This is your founder and CEO of Glam Girl Bikini, Amy Enger, signing off. Thanks for listening.